The Economist already exists. Bloomberg already exists. You think the Washington Post is going to have an op-ed section competing in business with the Financial Times, with Bloomberg, with the Wall Street Journal? The f*** are you even trying to do? Why?
Maybe it worked. Maybe I disagree with his methods, but it worked. But then a few days ago, something got posted on Trump's Truth Social that kind of actually gave me like this like pit in my stomach. It actually made me like feel very uncomfortable. A U.S. crypto reserve will elevate this critical industry after years of corrupt attacks by the Biden administration, which is why my executive order on digital assets directed the presidential working group to move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, Solana, and ADA.
Like, people were talking about a person running the White House under Biden, that it wasn't Biden doing it. Donald Trump didn't write or understand a single part of this tweet. Not a single part. Donald Trump has no clue what XRP, SOL, ADA, he has no clue what any of this shit is. Who's writing these tweets for him? He had no hand in writing a single word for this.
To move forward on a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, Solana, and ADA. He followed it up after some panic from Bitcoin owners. And obviously, Bitcoin and Ethereum, as other valuable cryptocurrencies, will also be at the heart of the reserve. I love Bitcoin and Ethereum. Overall, a massive presidential pump of these assets. Immediately, crypto prices spiked as they talked about these tokens being included in a national crypto strategic reserve. A strategic reserve requires us using taxpayer money to buy these tokens. By the way, we're a deficit nation, so we run out of taxpayer money every billing cycle. So this is actually going out to the rest of the world.
Like, it sounds so stupid. It sounds so stupid, but just like the fact that ATRAC just said that, right? We're a deficit nation. We run out of money every billing cycle. It's true. It's just like having like a foundation of knowledge, just a foundation of knowledge to begin to have the conversation is just so nice. The fact that like people like Jordan Peterson don't have a high school level of knowledge on almost anything, which is surprising given he was not a clinician, right? I don't think he did a psychiatry thing, but he went through psychology, right? All through a PhD level program. And Jordan Peterson doesn't sound like he even understands high school stats, right? Let alone anything having to do with the economy. Listening to that Pierre guy talk to Jordan Peterson, and for the very first time, it feels like both of them are discovering this concept of worker productivity and comparative advantage. Like, yeah, come on, bro. You get paid millions of dollars for these podcasts and shit. How do you not know any of this? I appreciate this so much. Ugh.
And issuing IOUs to borrow money to buy 3 shitty crypto tokens plus Bitcoin plus...
To my knowledge, they have said that the reserve will be paid with all the cuts they will make on government, not with taxpayer money. That's not how that works, my friend. You can't pay for things with money that you've saved off of a thing. This is the joke I made before, where somebody goes to the store and they're like, okay, I want to spend $100 on really nice blankets, but there's this quilt or blanket. I don't know. Fuck blankets. I don't know all the different blankets, okay? Here are blankets for $99, but here are blankets for $200 that originally cost $400, but they're on sale. Now, I could be a sucker and buy the $100 blankets, or I could buy the $200 blankets, and I've saved $200. Does that mean that you've walked out of the store spending nothing because you saved as much as you spent? No, that's not how that works. We're still a deficit country. We borrow to pay for our, the bill every year by the federal government. So if you manage to cut a little bit of what we're spending, we're still borrowing to pay the bill. You're not saving money such that you can like return it to taxpayers in the form of a check or spend that money elsewhere. You're still borrowing.
Ethereum. That his kids and advisors hold. Now, what was extra bad about this is that the day before this announcement, somebody went 50x long, a massive, highly leveraged bet with $4 million on exactly this happening.
I wish I knew what this meant more. Like, what are you trading to have a 50x leverage? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that he was just able to trade on, for $4 million, it would be, with $4 million, he was able to do a $200 million, like, on margin? Is that what that means? Or how is he, what is his 50x leverage? What does that mean exactly? Options? Is that what that means? Are you creating a position though with option? I can't tell who's just talking shit or not. I shouldn't have asked this question in chat. I'm sorry, because everybody's typing the random fucking bullshit without having any idea. Do you create a position with options? Is that true? Like if I buy 100 contracts for puts or calls to sell or buy some security at some bullshit in the future, have I created that position in the future? Is that how you would describe that? Watch a video. Well, I don't even know what I would look for. You borrow 50x of money invested. Okay, yeah, so that's what so is this just a huge margin position you're allowed to have open, I guess? No, it's direct leverage by purchasing the asset and using the purchased asset to collateralize loans internal to a platform's trading engine. Okay, so it's just, this is margin that he's getting. And for whatever reason, crypto platforms allow you to have an unbelievable amount of margin, I guess. Or maybe this particular trader has an unbelievable amount of margin. Okay, thank you. Okay, Jesus.
Somebody on the inside seemed to know this was going to happen. This level of corruption is not normal. Mark Hodes is a guy I really respect. He's a bit crazy. He's a bit of an old crotchety man. He is the one that exposed the SBF fraud. He's the first person to call out SBF for what he was, a massive grifter. Mark Hodes said, no need to worry. There will now be a crypto reserve of worthless garbage brought to you by a South African pump and dump artist named David Sachs. So let's get into David Sachs real quick. This is David Sachs.
BitMEX allows 100x margin. I use it all the time. Okay, based.
David Sachs is America's new crypto czar. Apparently, we need an official person in charge of crypto. If you've heard David Sachs' name before, maybe it's from his podcast, or maybe it's from the fact we covered him on this channel back during the Silicon Valley Bank bailout. He was one of the...
Wait, somebody says BitMEX allows 200x, not 100x. Even more based. All right.
World's whiniest billionaires begging for Silicon Valley Bank to get bailed out. Because he'd made an investment in it. He basically said, if the government doesn't come in and bail out this bank, the whole economy will crash.
Wait, is, oh, and you're just paying interest on the borrowed money, basically. Okay.
The crisis will spread. He was on podcasts, on TV shows, on the news, on social media, constantly begging for a personal bailout, essentially, of his Silicon Valley Bank money. Well, it turns out, as crypto czar, he has a couple conflicts of interest we might want to know about. The main one being his big investment in Bitwise Asset Management. Bitwise Asset Management holds a bunch of crypto tokens. What do you think are the 5 biggest holdings in Bitwise Asset Management? Could it perhaps be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, and XRP? Could it be the exact bags that are just getting pumped by Donald Trump? Do you think
Wait, do we know if the original motherfuckers at Mt. Gox, did they make a lot of money on all that crypto? I got my Mt. Gox coin paid, and it was not anywhere near. I was hoping it would be at current prices, but it was like older prices. I think I got like $1,200 or some bullshit. And I was like, I thought I got like $300,000 for my 3 Bitcoin. Fuck you.
it's perhaps possible that Donald Trump doesn't even know about XRP, Sol, and ADA, and perhaps this legislation is drafted by his crypto czar that's pumping his own bags? Marco Hodes, back to him, again, the guy that exposed SBF, has been talking about this conflict of interest for a long time. In fact, this is a tweet from late 2024 when he sent evidence to SEC about David Sachs being deeply involved in the development of Solana, owning a bunch of hidden and secret Solana that he's trying to pump. In fact, if you look through their terrible all-in podcast, you might find some clips that are pretty damning in hindsight.
Sachs, I gotta say, I think your AUM is positively correlated with the bags under your eyes.
If you mean it's getting bigger, you're correct.
I mean, fuck.
They're heavy.
Good Lord.
They're heavy, dragging you down.
That's where you're hiding all that Solana, in your fucking under your eyes.
You better clear that Solana position. What's your lockup? 24 months?
Fuck no, he's trying to sell it to me on text message.
Yeah, of course he is.
We're negotiating discounts.
I just had the fact.
Hey, you're fucking the whole thing up.
Bro, you don't think
I'm hodling.
you think I buy
You're not
hundreds of
holding,
millions of dollars
clearly.
of anything without a discount? Everything is a discount.
Everything's discounted. You want to clear that position in an LLC?
Are you saying I got $1 billion of Solana?
No, bro, I'm saying I have one, but I bought it at a discount.
But you're holding, correct?
Ish.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, me too.
So these fucking rich guy douchebag Silicon Valley scumbags have acquired massive positions in the very coins they are now using their political influence to get us to bail out as taxpayers. There is no benefit to you or me or any regular American Republican or Democrat.
I also filed a dispute. Waiting now on my Bitcoin back should be around 30 for Mt. Gox. No, hold on. You're saying you should check the Mt. Gox claims page. You can file a dispute and get your money in Bitcoin back. You don't get paid back in Bitcoin. You get paid back in USD based on the value of the Bitcoin like 10 years ago or whenever Mt. Gox went under. You don't get paid back in Bitcoin. That would be base, but that's not how they paid back, unfortunately.
Taxpayers. There is no benefit to you or me or any regular American Republican or Democrat. These guys flip sides based on whatever way the wind is blowing to make money. David Sachs donated a bunch of money to Gavin Newsom. He was anti-Trump before, now he's pro. Whatever way makes him money. And as in recent months, Bitcoin was dropping and all these bags were dropping, they needed a bailout. They needed a fucking turnaround, which came with this random Sunday night tweet.
Bro, offering margin on trading platforms has to be fucking free money for the people running these platforms. Because of the volatility of these instruments, I imagine they probably don't even margin call. They probably just close your position, huh? Like, considering how volatile the investments are, especially if you're 100, 200x leveraged, your position just probably gets closed instantly. They just keep your money.
By Donald Trump to pump all of these very specific niche currencies, none of which are big enough to be a strategic reserve, all of which would be massively moved by the price of America getting involved. Peter Schiff.
Maker fees are 0% on certain platforms with 400x leverage. How do they make their money then?
None of which are big enough to be a strategic reserve, all of which would be massively moved by the price of America getting involved. Peter Schiff pointed this out. Now, Peter Schiff is a really principled thinker, a guy I really respect. And just to be clear, for anyone accusing him of being partisan, this guy's been in financial markets for 40 years. This guy voted for Donald Trump. But even Peter Schiff can't help but say, this is the biggest crypto rug pull of all time. A pump and dump scheme. Who authored these 2 Sunday afternoon posts? Who knew about them in advance? How much money would those investors spent buying XRP, ADA, SOL,